So here at Maton Guitars, fantastic third generation Australian family business, still manufacturing in Australia. It's a great story. Linda, can you tell us a bit about it?
Oh, well, my dad started in 1946. He was a musician, he was a woodworking teacher at the education department. He decided that he would like to build guitars in Australia. The only guitars that you could buy were from America and pretty expensive. So he thought he had all the necessary credibility to be able to build guitars here. He retired in 1987 and my husband Neville and I took over the business in the late 80s. In Dad's day, he built every guitar possible. He built solid guitars, semi-acoustic guitars, classical guitars, bass guitars, to grab a market. When we took it over in the 80s, we decided to just build acoustic guitars with the best pickup possible. And that's what we did up until recently. We've created a great pickup, onboard pickup with a guitar that most others don't have.
And how have you managed that? How have you managed that generational change through the business?
Changes are difficult with families, and I suppose the biggest thing that we've done is that we've built infrastructure that wasn't about in Dad's day, like CNC machines, like paint in his day was crazed, it didn't have elasticity. Product is better.
And Linda's promised me that she won't retire before her 85th birthday, so that's always a handy thing.
Is that the benchmark?
It's good to know.
The company is the staff as well. We've got a great staff, and without them we wouldn't have the product. So I'm very fortunate. I come to work every day and I love it.
And you've been manufacturing in Australia for over 65 years now. Have you ever thought about moving that offshore?
Never. No, not in my lifetime. I never want to. I'm proud of Australian made. I'm a proud Aussie. We use Aussie wood. If we can import replace, I'll do it. And we make a fine product, and we'll always make it here as long as I'm running the company.
And how important has that Australian manufacturing been to your brand?
Oh, strong, very strong. People in Australia now buy it because it is Aussie. In Dad's day they didn't. They were very for American, but today the brand, it's strong enough, it's a good quality product and people realise it, so, and now it's selling overseas, so it's great.
And how did your father feel about exporting abroad?
Oh, he always wanted to do it. He travelled to Malaysia and England, and they're sprinkled around the world, but it was a driving force for him. But it just didn't have the strength of the name, but not as it has today. He'd be overwhelmed. It would his dream come true.
So you've built a fantastic brand abroad. Can you tell us a bit about those export operations?
Well, export, I guess, USA's happened for quite some time. USA is a difficult market because it's so big and it's hard to go through either a distributor who puts many margins on the product before that actually gets to the punter. So that's really difficult. In America, we go direct to the retail level now, and we're partnering with 6 or 7 key stores, which is great to have that direct relationship. Europe's pretty mature for us now. We've been with our German distributor now for over 8 years, and he's doing a really great job through Germany and Benelux. We have a full-time salesman now based in Prague. He does the whole of Europe, the remainder of Europe, and he does a really good job. He's been with us for 2 or 3 years now. It's great to have that physical, permanent presence in that marketplace. New Zealand has always been a fantastic marketplace for us, and that continues to go really strongly for us.
What about your latest focus?
Our latest focus, Alex, is all about Asia, really. We think it's close. We think it's a great market. We think there's a burgeoning middle class in Asia. We find that there's really receptive partnership in Asia, and a lot of people that are very keen to have our product, and we feel we're being really well supported and marketed by our distribution partner, especially in China, as well as our distribution partner in Japan, who's been doing a strong job for us for 5 years now, since 2008.
And what was the motivation there? Was Asia a natural progression for you?
Asia is a natural progression because it's close, because we've got a lot of support there through our distributor partners. We had some help with our bank, and a few government agencies helped us out in initial forays into the market. China's especially great for us because there's a burgeoning middle class there now, and they are really looking for a strong, high-end quality imported product, and we fit that bill really well.
Okay, what sort of research did you have to do before you made that move?
Well, just a lot of market research. We spent some time with Austrade. They were quite helpful with us. We spent some time with our bank and their local Chinese partners over there, researched the partners, and then we went over and actually interviewed partners at a Shanghai music show back in October last year. We did final interviews with them in December last year and signed them up at that point. The main research is in the partnership and the relationship, to be honest. It's really finding a balance and finding a relationship that works. We brought them over here, we ingrained them through the factory, spent 2 or 3 days with them here, learnt about them, became friends with them, formed a relationship with them, gained that trust, which has now progressed into business.
And how did you identify that initial pool of distributors?
Through our local contacts mainly. We've been in the music industry for quite some time, obviously. Most of our colleagues in Australia are wholesalers, so they bring product in. We've got good partnerships and friendships and relationships with a lot of them, and we just used our database of contacts through all of them. They've obviously got a lot of Asian partners from the supply chain perspective, and we used that list of partners. We went to a trade show, we attracted ourselves to good people at the trade show. That was our longer list, and then we just whittled the list down from there.
Right. How important was Austrade's assistance through that process?
Austrade were great. We had a couple of commissioners in China helping us out. They have some local people on the ground helping us out as well. They were great from the perspective of knowing about export in general. They had no real expertise in the music industry itself because I guess it's a small industry and reasonably insular. So it was hard for them to help on that perspective, but they gave us a lot of good pointers as to things to look out for. They provided some translators for us at our initial meetings that we had, which was fantastic, and then they reported back to us with their thoughts. They also put us in touch with some people that could do some due diligence on the businesses that we ultimately partner with.
And as you touched on previously, Linda, there's a sort of really growing wealthy middle class there. How did you guys go about pricing your products for the Asian market?
Pricing's crucial, and we went through our entire model range with our distributor partner. Although having said that, they are now looking at quality and quality alone, and a lot of the product that even our US retailers looking at now has been difficult from a pricing perspective. Our Asian partners and our Chinese distributor in particular don't care too much about the price. They just want a good quality, consistent product, and we feel we can deliver that to them, and we're delighted that they feel the same way. And with the burgeoning middle class, what that's saying to us is pricing is less important. They just want a really good, high quality product.
Okay, so are you making similar margins over there as you are in Australia?
No, we're making less margins because we have to give a distributor price, which obviously comes at below the trade price here in Australia, which is natural, and that's the way it works because they need to get it to the retail level and then get it to the ultimate end user. So it is part of business that the margins are reduced, but we feel that over the journey we'll succeed anyway because we allow margin within that pricing structure to have some long-term success.
So you saw the opportunity in Asia, you realised there was a bit of a growth market there. Was there any reservation about taking the plunge?
There's always reservations about taking the plunge. It's very clear that it's a really challenging retail landscape here, and not all of our retailers have survived over the journey, and some of the bigger ones have not been able to survive, unfortunately. We need to find a home for our beautiful product, and we need to continue to employ our 70 staff that work really hard making our product. It's important we find homes for our product and a burgeoning marketplace. And we feel with the burgeoning middle class in Asia, especially in China, great catchment, great area, nice and close. Yes, there's a lot of challenges, but it's been worth every ounce of sweat on the way to go into Asia, and we feel it's a really strong part of our future.
Has widening your export market been a competitive advantage against other guitar makers?
Yeah, no doubt, because what takes place is it's so close. There's a lot of tourism between the two, and Chinese people and other Asian people come here and do factory visits and do the tour of the factory, fall in love with the product, and then of course when they go home and they can find the product, if they haven't had the opportunity to buy it locally, they can now buy it in their own market. So we feel as though the two tangibly work off each other. The imports help the domestic market is helping our overseas market, and the export market also increases our footprint to help out our domestic market as well.
You have a very unique setup with retailers here whereby you don't wholesale to anyone outside of that distribution network. What's the strategy there?
The strategy there is we partner at the moment with about 250 retailers across Australia, and they exhibit and present our product every day of the week, and that's so important to us. Obviously the retail landscape is really challenging, and we acknowledge that, and our retailers acknowledge that, and we speak to our retailers every day of the week about that. But equally so, they're showing our product off every day of the week, and they have done for 68 years now, and that's crucial for us, and we need to partner with them, and we need to have our salesmen out visiting them on a very regular basis to talk to them about their challenges, about what their customers are saying to them, about our quality issues, about what our competition is doing. That's how we learn. We learn by talking to our retailers, because they give us the best market feedback that we can get.
And how much of an impact has the fluctuating Australian dollar had on your export operations?
Yeah, I mean it has. It's been really difficult. It's had an impact both on our domestic market through the rising of the Australian dollar against the US. It's made our competition, which is mainly either US businesses product made in the US or US businesses making in Asia, obviously denominated in US dollars. So it's made them comparatively cheaper. I guess the price has halved over the last 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
That's made it incredibly difficult. But we just need to push on. We need to continually challenging ourselves. We need to invest significantly in research and development. We need to invest in our staff. We need to continue to train our staff. We need to build our efficiencies. In many respects, that is a massive challenge for us, but it makes us do things better, and it improves us overall.
In terms of your branding abroad and within Australia, you've got a couple of pretty special relationships with musicians. Can you tell us about them?
Oh, well, I suppose Emmanuel will be our best artist. He travels, he does 300 concerts a year, so he's all around the place, and he passionately plays his Maton, and we get emails and phone calls after he's been in certain places, so he's a driving force for us. He's great.
That's great to hear. David, just on the Asian exports again, what would you do differently if you were to go through the process again?
What would I do differently? Probably a lot of things. I guess initially with some markets, probably Hong Kong is one, and Japan initially at the beginning. They all got once they came and visited the factory and learnt a bit about the business, they saw the custom shop and they went very high end, very early. And we certainly make great guitars and really beautiful guitars at the high end. There's probably too great a focus on that high end without getting, I guess, the capital base of the whole model split through our business, through their businesses themselves. So especially in Hong Kong with Tom Lee in particular, where was one of our first forays into Asia, they would buy a dozen guitars, they'd buy them all at the high end, they would sell 4 or 5 quite quickly, and then the remaining guitars would just sit there because they had no bottom end through our range to sit with. And so you obviously need a full representation to retail strongly. And so if I had my time again, I'd probably be more driving through the whole range of our product, including our lower end entry models, which is still a high end, but it's entry level at our level, say $1,000 Australian retail. Mm-hmm. If we had more of that, we would have probably built a better capital base to have movement through the higher end moving forward.
Okay. And what's the biggest lesson you've learnt from your Asian export experience?
Biggest lesson I've learnt through the Asian export experience has probably been relationships. Build your relationships. Listen more than you can talk.
Okay.
And just learn from people that have had success. talk to locals that have had success, talk to people over there that bring product in as distributors in Asia, because then they can tell you what they're doing successfully with their supply partners. We need to adapt and be flexible, and we need to have a happy distributor to want to be successful and work really hard on our product.
A few tips for small businesses looking to make that transition to export to Asia.
I guess the main one is a relationship for mine. It's important to build a trust in that relationship. We're in fact lucky enough to have a girl here, Abby, who is Asian. She's fluent in Mandarin. She was really helpful at the outset, just through the speaking with the colleagues that we're dealing with. She's come over to Shanghai, had a couple of visits with us to China to speak with them and learn from them and learn a bit about what they're about. In Asia, the important thing is the relationship. Have trust in who you're speaking with, and form a friendship and relationship before the business. Sometimes with other distribution relationships, whether it be in the US or Europe, it's often important to just do business and then form a relationship after that. The learning we've had is form the relationship first, be personal about it, gain that trust, and then move forward from then. And obviously pricing is important, and distributed price is important as well. Linda can share a bit about that.
Oh, well, I suppose with China and Japan, with the distribution market, they pay up front. So the goods don't go until you get paid. So in Australia, it is done on credit, and so the two of them sort of work out well together.
And that's a terrific from a accountancy perspective, isn't it, having your cash up front?
It's always good to have it in the bank, Alex.
Great. Some excellent tips there, guys. Thanks for your time.